with our testimonies. And Mr. Folk, you're first.
Chairman Manchin, Ranking Member Barracio, and committee members, thank you for the invitation to testify at today's hearing. My name is Ben Folk, and I serve as Interim CEO and President of American Electric Power Company. AEP is one of the largest electric utilities in the United States, serving customers across an 11-state footprint. We have a diverse electric generation fleet, and we own and operate the largest transmission system in the United States. This is a significant moment for our country, our industry, and our company. We at AEP are excited about the opportunities and challenges ahead of us as we meet the growing demand for electricity in our regions. Demand for electricity was almost flat for 2 decades. We are now beginning to see this trend reverse, driven by large customers such as industrial manufacturers, data processors, and others who require significant amounts of power. The efforts of Congress to support the development of these businesses have been remarkably successful, and companies are now building and growing here in America because, in part, we have abundant and diverse energy resources and reliable and affordable power. However, in some areas of the country, the demand for electricity is growing faster than the available capacity. Just a few years ago, a large-scale industrial manufacturing facility might require 100 megawatts, or about enough to power 100,000 homes. A facility that size would typically be one of a kind in a region, would be a major source of economic activity for that area. Now it is common for a single data center to require 3 up to 15 times this amount of power for a single site. As technology evolves, power demand from data processing is expected to double nationwide in 3 years. One small example of this demand surge, OpenAI's ChatGPT requires 2.9 watt-hours for a request. Now that's nearly 10 times more power than a typical Google search. AEP currently has requests from large customers that would more than double the existing peak demand we serve on our system today. It took over 100 years of planning and building to create our current system, and a step change in infrastructure investment on an accelerated time frame will be required to serve even a fraction of this future demand in a reliable manner. As demand is rapidly increasing, our nation's electricity system is transforming to accommodate new forms of energy. The pace of this transformation must not overtake the reliability needs of our system. Independent assessments by NERC find the risk of electric power supply disruptions are steadily increasing. Our society depends on a reliable power system. As we embark on this era of economic growth and technological transformation, customers need an energy system that is available to deliver reliable, affordable, and environmentally sensitive power where and when they need it. Continued development of the electric system must be a central priority of U.S. energy and economic policy, and we need to think bigger and more comprehensively to address the many opportunities and challenges in front of us. For your part, we ask that Congress work with regulators to ensure electric system resource adequacy and prevent premature retirements of dispatchable power plants. This includes considering the impact of recent EPA regulations, which could hasten the pace of plant retirements and diminish reliability. Collaborating with FERC and other federal state constituents to evaluate the establishment of a central planning authority focused on reliability, and directing FERC to ensure that viable reliability safety valve mechanisms are in place to prevent premature plant retirements. Congress should also expedite the development of new 24/7 dispatchable and clean energy resources to meet the growing consumer demand. This could be done through encouraging FERC to allow for fast tracking of generation resources in the interconnection queues that have been selected by utilities to meet their obligation to serve customers, encouraging the development of advanced technologies such as next-generation nuclear, passing a siting and permitting package that accelerates the development of critical infrastructure, and maintaining the Inflation Reduction Act and the technology-neutral and nuclear tax credits which serve to reduce costs for customers. Finally, Congress should encourage FERC's recent efforts to support the efficient development of necessary regional and interregional electric transmission facilities to ensure reliability and accommodate economic growth and development. The electric power industry will play a crucial role in helping the U.S. remain a global leader in advanced manufacturing and technology innovation. With the help of Congress and our federal and state regulators and agencies, we can serve this emerging demand and secure America's role as a leader for generations to come. To do so, we will need to work together to quickly build new sources of electric generation and high-voltage power lines to deliver electricity where it's needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Honoran, we have you next, if you will.
Chairman Manchin, Ranking Member Barrasso, and distinguished members of the committee, thank you for the invitation to appear before you today. My name is Karen Honoran. I am the President and CEO of the Electricity Consumers Resource Council, or ELCON. ELCON is the trade association for large industrial consumers of electricity. Our mission is to ensure that we have reliable and affordable power, and so we support the development and adoption of rational and coordinated policy to ensure that electric reliability at low cost. The purpose of my testimony today is to represent the industrial sector as one of the drivers of the electricity demand that we're speaking of today. So after decades of decline in manufacturing, domestic manufacturing is seeing a resurgence in the U.S. According to a recent report from the Deloitte Research Center for Energy and Industrials, the number of manufacturing facilities in the U.S. grew by over 11% between the first quarter of 2019 and the second quarter of 2023. Construction spending on manufacturing has nearly tripled since June 2020 and was up 37% year over year in January 2024 when construction spending reached a high of $225 billion. As a result, the industrial sector is projected to add 36 gigawatts, of additional power by 2030. Bringing manufacturing back to U.S. shores has many implications and benefits, as we've talked about. This is bringing investment into communities that have been neglected in the past, bringing thousands of jobs, whether that be through construction, the permanent jobs to run the operations in manufacturing, and the secondary jobs to support those workers, including retail and food and housing. According to the National Association of Manufacturers, the industrial sector contributed at a yearly rate of $2.9 trillion to the U.S. economy in the third quarter of 2023. And it projects that we will need approximately 3.8 million manufacturing workers in the next decade. We've already heard about the national security implications. We can no longer rely on hostile foreign nations to supply our critical infrastructure, our critical minerals, and our computing power. And we saw the devastating impacts during COVID of supply chain interruptions. It behooves us to create more, manufacture more here on our shores. So at this point, we must right-size our grid, and we must meet this demand by reducing some of the regulatory barriers that we are seeing. We all know the risks. We've heard them today, from varying energy supply to extreme weather, like we saw in Houston last week. So we cannot take any options off the table right now. We need all of the above resources, and we need the infrastructure to support those resources. We need an agile and flexible grid that can manage variable supply as well as variable demands. Demand is going to change their profiles. So we really implore this committee and the Congress to pass significant permitting reform for transmission infrastructure and other energy infrastructure. We've seen that the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission has taken some measures to address interconnection backlogs and transmission, but we still have a lot more work to do. I really ask everyone to come to the table and work on solutions. Take nothing off the table now. And finally, even though we all appreciate and wish to be good stewards of the environment, the EPA rules that recently came out further complicates a tenuous situation on our grid. And so we cannot be further impeding our reliable and safe and affordable electricity. Electricity underpins our national economy, our national security, and the prosperity and ingenuity here in the United States. Senators, again, I thank you so much for your invitation. I will conclude my remarks and look forward to your questions.